50 का टारगेट है, 50 का, और बनाया कितना इसने 45, मतलब 100% के नीचे ही जाएगा। अब वो कैसे निकलेगा एफिशिएंसी, तो एक्चुअल आउटपुट दैट इज 45 डिवाइड बाय स्टैंडर्ड आउटपुट दैट इज 50 इनटू 100, दैट कम्स टू 90%। ठीक है, चलो दूसरा निकालते हैं। 50 एक्चुअल आउटपुट डिवाइडेड बाय स्टैंडर्ड आउटपुट इनटू 100, दैट कम्स टू 100%। जितना बोला था उतना बराबर बना है। बट अगर मैं सी की बात करूं तो उसका एक्चुअल आउटपुट है 56 यूनिट्स, डिवाइड बाय स्टैंडर्ड था 50 का इनटू 100, उसने ज्यादा बनाया तो उसके परसेंटेज भी 100 के ऊपर आने वाला है, दैट इज 112%। नाउ लेट्स कैलकुलेट अर्निंग। अर्निंग के लिए देखो ये क्या बोलता है, फर्स्ट में बोलता है अर्निंग के लिए अगर वर्कर ने 83% के नीचे इफिशिएंसी लेवल बताया है तो उसका नॉर्मल वेजेस तो मिलेगा ही, उसको हम लोग कभी भी कम पेमेंट नहीं देंगे। मतलब आंसर यहाँ पे क्या रहेगा मालूम है आपका, एक्चुअल आउटपुट मल्टीप्लाइड बाय पीस रेट, उसका नॉर्मल वेजेस उसको मिलेगा, 1 यूनिट का इतना और उसने उतना यूनिट बना। बट अगर उसका एफिशिएंसी लेवल 83% से लेके 100% के बीच में है, मतलब उसने ट्राई किया है कि वो स्टैंडर्ड को अचीव करे, इसलिए उसको थोड़ा सा हम लोग प्रमोट करेंगे, मोटिवेट करेंगे। एक्चुअल आउटपुट इनटू पीस रेट और उसका अर्निंग थोड़ा सा बढ़ाया जाएगा। कितने से बढ़ाया जाएगा, 10%, मतलब अर्निंग कितना हो जाएगा 110%। और अगर उसने जितना टारगेट दिया था उससे ज्यादा यूनिट्स बनाया तो कंपनी का और ज्यादा फायदा कराएगा, इसलिए फॉर्मूला क्या आएगा, एक्चुअल आउटपुट इनटू पीस रेट इनटू 120%। ओके, सो लेट्स सॉल्व दिस। ओवर हियर मैं क्या बोलूंगा, 90% इफिशिएंसी मतलब कौन से कैटेगरी में आता है, यहाँ पे, मतलब उसने टारगेट को अचीव करने का ट्राई किया था, वो थोड़ा सा बस कम पड़ गया, तो उसका अर्निंग देखो कैसे होगा, 45 यूनिट्स बनाया इनटू 1 यूनिट का 5 रुपया मिलना चाहिए, बट तूने ट्राई किया है तो तेरे को थोड़ा सा हम लोग मोटिवेट करने के लिए कितना देंगे, 110% का अर्निंग, 10% से आपका अर्निंग बढ़ जाएगा, 45 into 5 into 110%, that comes to 247.5. If I talk about worker B, whatever target was given to him, he has achieved that target. It means efficiency level is 100%. That falls under second category. Again उसका भी अर्निंग सेम रहेगा, फिर 50 यूनिट्स बनाया इंटू 1 यूनिट का 5 इंटू 110%, 275। अभी वर्कर सी के बारे में बात करते हैं। He produced 56 units, rate per piece is 5 and his efficiency level is greater than 100%, that is third category. Therefore his revenue or his earning will get increased by 20%, so his earning will be 120%. Just calculate that, 56 into 5 into 120%, that comes to 336. Okay, so now we are done with two authors, Taylor system, Merrick system. Taylor system was a bit harsh on new employees, but then it was adjusted by Merrick system. He said that it is better to promote new employees, we should not reduce their wages, and who are striving hard to achieve the standard, we should promote them, and who are actually working more than what is expected, give them 120%. Now last over here, that is third system, is combination of time and piece rate system. Compared to all this system, this is considered as a bit difficult. You may get confused over here. Okay, combination of time and piece rate system means we have to combine both this system together. These authors have made formula on piece rate. What he did is, one author is there, that author's name is bonus system. This system is known as Gantt task and bonus system. Now, how revenue is calculated in the system, we will understand this. Again, table will come same. First, we will calculate his efficiency, whether it is efficient or not. Based on his efficiency level, his earning will be decided. His earnings will be decided. Now, what he is doing is, Gantt task says that efficiency is bifurcated in 3 parts. First, either worker is working below standard, or he is working at standard, or he may work above standard. Accordingly, his payment, that is his earning, will be decided. So again, we will solve this question from his point of view. Your table will come same. So let me prepare this table. First is a statement showing earning. This is heading of your table, statement showing earning. Okay. Over here, first column is always worker. How much he produced, or you can say how many units are produced by him. Based on that, his efficiency level is decided, and on that, his earning is decided. So now pay attention. Worker A, B, C. 3 workers are there. 45 units is actual output of A. 50 units are manufactured by B, and 56 units is actual output of C. If I talk about A again, target was 50. So this is again, first 3 columns will remain constant. This is below standard. 50 का target 45 बनाया, less than standard. Target was 50. Actual output is also 50. So this is at standard. Over here, I can see that standard was 50, but he produced actual 56. That is more than your standard. It's known as above standard. Now the thing is, how you will calculate his earning. So let's talk about earning. If I talk about Gantt task and bonus plan, what he says that if worker is working below standard, if worker is working below standard, it means if his production is less than standard, like over here, standard was 50, he manufactured 45, that is less than standard, below standard. His earning will be based on time, that is actual hours multiplied by time rate. Now time rate मतलब जितना hours उसने काम किया रहेगा multiplied by rate per hour, that is his time rate. If worker is working at standard, means whatever target was given to worker, he has achieved that standard. So his earning will be actual hours multiplied by time rate multiplied by 120%. Means his earning will increase by 20% because he has achieved his standard. Now let's talk about third category. If worker is working above standard, it means whatever target is given to worker, he has produced more than that. For example, Mr. C, my target was to produce 50 units, but actual production by Mr. C was 56 units. It means he has produced more than what is expected. So now his earning as per Gantt task and bonus system will be based on output, that is actual output multiplied by piece rate. First of all, over here one change is there. If I say actual output, then multiplied by one word is there, that is high piece rate, and then this is the solution. But what happens is, many of the times high piece rate is not given in the question. So how you will solve this? So if piece rate is not given, then what you have to do is actual output into piece rate into 120%. It means it may so happen that in the question high piece rate is not given. First preference is given to high piece rate. It means what I will say 56 units is production multiplied by my high piece rate. But if high piece rate is not given, you will calculate your high piece rate by increasing your normal piece rate by 20%. So a piece rate multiplied by 120%, you will get your high piece rate and multiplied by your output. So now let's calculate their earning. Mr. A is working below standard, less than 50 is his output. So earnings will be based on this formula. Actual hours and not actual output. Make sure that. So his workings are 8 hours multiplied by his rate per hour is 10. That is there. So his earning will be 80 rupees. Mr. A will earn 80 rupees. Now, if I talk about Mr. B, category is at standard. At standard means his efficiency level is at standard, so his earning will be actual hours. Actual hours work is 8 hours multiplied by time rate, and your time rate, you can see that your rate per hour, that is your time rate, is rupees 10. So come over here, 10 is this time rate, and multiply. Just because he has achieved what is expected, we will promote him and his earning will increase by 20%. So his earning will be 120%. So 8 into 10 into 120%, that comes to 96. Remember this? If I talk about Mr. C now, is high piece rate given in the question? No, it is not given. So how we calculate his earning? By this formula, actual output into piece rate into 120%. His actual output, not actual hours now. So his actual output is 56 units. So 56 units multiplied by rate per piece, and his piece rate is 5 piece into 120%. So 56 into 5 into 120%, that comes to 336. So this is the earning as per Gantt task and bonus system. So last system is there, that is incentive premium scheme. There are 3 variations. We will learn this system later on, but I am just naming those systems. First is Halsey plan, and second one is Halsey Beer plan, and the last one is Roman system, and this Roman plan. Right now we are learning time rate, piece rate, combination of time and piece rate. Once we do few questions, then we'll start with your incentive premium scheme. So just copy this down. Thank you. So now we are done with brief introduction of labor costing. Let's start to solve questions. Again, those questions are based on that introduction. So question number 1, standard production. Standard production at the rate of 20 units per hour. मतलब यहाँ पे ऐसा है कि वर्कर को बोला है जब भी तू काम करेगा 1 आवर के लिए, एज एंड व्हेन यू वर्क फॉर 1 आवर you have to produce 20 units. Okay, that is my standard production. General wage rate is rupees 2 per hour. If you are working for 1 hour, we will pay you 2 rupees. Okay, wage rate if work executed below standard is 80% of general rate. मतलब whatever target is given and if you don't achieve that, if you work below standard, then we will pay you only 80%. ये कहाँ पे होता है? टेलर सिस्टम में होता है, if you remember that. And wage rate on execution of work equal to standard 120% of general rate. It means if you achieve standard or more than, if you work more than standard, then you will get 120% remuneration. That is 20% more. Production in 8 hours of 1 day by Mr. A 150 units and by Mr. A 150 units and by Mr. B 200 units. Compute the remuneration payable to Mr. A and B under Taylor plan. अभी हम लोग को क्या करना है? पार्ट बाय पार्ट एक एक ऑथर का अंडरस्टैंडिंग लेना है. तो स्टार्ट करते हैं हम लोग टेलर से, जो यहाँ पे बोला है टेलर के हिसाब से सॉल्यूशन करना है. तो ठीक है, टेलर के हिसाब से अगर सॉल्यूशन करना है तो देखो मुझे क्या क्या चीज़ें पता होनी चाहिए. पहले तो टेलर का फॉर्मूला याद होना चाहिए. आप अगर वीडियो रिवाइंड करके देखोगे तो आपको याद आ जाएगा कि क्या लिखा था, मैंने क्या पढ़ाया था. मैंने ऐसा बोला था कि अगर वर्कर एक्सपेक्टेशन से कम काम करता है, दैट इज इफ वर्कर इज वर्किंग बिलो स्टैंडर्ड, वॉट एवर टारगेट इज गिवन, if he is not achieving that, we will pay 80%. If he achieves the target or he works more than what is expected from him or her, we will pay him more. And how much? It is 120%. Okay, so let me write that formula as per Taylor system C. Suppose I say question number 1, system, Taylor system, Taylor's system, and as per Taylor system, efficiency is measured in 2 parts. First, either worker can work below standard or he can work at or above standard. Okay, if worker works below standard, his earning will be actual output, whatever he has produced, multiplied by whatever is his piece rate and multiplied by 80% because he is working less. But if he achieves our standard or if he works more, then we pay him more. It is piece rate multiplied by 120%. This is my basic formula. This formula you have to remember. Okay, so now for solution, if I say what are things I need, first I need whether worker is working below standard or above standard. So I need to calculate standard first. Actual output is given in the question कि A ने कितना बनाया, B ने कितना बनाया. Then you have to see whether piece rate is given or not. Okay, so let's first calculate standard. So suppose working note number 1, I want to calculate my standard output. Standard output. It is given in the first line of your question that the standard output is standard production at the rate of 20 units per hour. It means if worker works for 1 hour, he has to produce 20 units, that is expected. So I will say hours output, to be very precise, hours and your standard output. So if I say over here, in 1 hour we expect that worker has to produce 20 units. Now worker has worked for 8 hours. If you see in the third line or fourth line, you will come to know that production in 8 hours of 1 day. It means worker has actually worked for 8 hours. So what is expected from him? In 1 hour he has to produce 20. So in 8 hours he can produce 160 units. This is expected from worker. This is my standard output. So one thing is done, I have calculated standard. So now I can calculate whether the worker is working below or above standard. Now second thing, piece rate. First we have to search whether piece rate is given in the question or not. So let's search for that. General wage rate is rupees 2 per hour. It is time rate and not piece rate. If worker is working for 1 hour, we can pay him 2 rupees. So now our requirement in this question is to calculate piece rate. It means if worker produces 1 unit, how much we will pay him. So let's calculate that. For that matter, we will prepare working note number 2. It's for your piece rate calculation. Now, how you will calculate that? So first you will say units, and then you will say whatever wages you are paying. Now it is given in the question, if worker works for 1 hour, we are paying him 2 rupees, isn't it? And in that 1 hour, how much we are expecting? He can produce how many units? He can produce 20 units. It means if worker works for 1 hour, he can produce 20 units, it is expected, and for that 1 hour, once he is producing 20, we will pay him rupees 2 per hour. Indirectly I can just see this way, that if worker will give me 20 units per hour, I will give 2 rupees per hour. That's it. 1 घंटे में अपने को 20 यूनिट देगा और उस 1 घंटे का मैं उसको 2 रुपया देगा. So by this I can calculate my piece rate. तो मैं उसको 1 यूनिट का कितना दे रहा हूँ? How much I am paying him? I will say that for 1 unit, what I am paying is this. For 20 units, if I am paying 2 rupees, so for 1 unit, I must be paying, question mark, I will say 1 into 2 divided by 20. This is cross multiplication. So your answer will be 2 divided by 20. That comes to 0.1. This is your piece rate, which was not given in the question. In labor costing, one of the important adjustment is this only. How to calculate piece rate. So always remember, what you have to think is, in 1 hour, how many units we are producing, and in that 1 hour, or you can say for that 1 hour, how much we are paying. So for this many units, we are paying this much amount. So for 1 unit, how much? Okay. So we are done with piece rate. So now we can prepare our statement of earning. What we can prepare? Statement showing total earning. So let's prepare it. Statement showing total earning. Okay, our columns are fixed. First, what we write is workers. How many workers are there? Then their production, that is their actual output, and then based on that output we will determine their efficiency level, and based on that efficiency we will pay them, that is their earning. So in this question there are 2 workers. If you see carefully, you will come to know that there are 2 workers. So over here I will say my standard output is equal to 160 and my piece rate. For my reference, I am writing my piece rate is 0.1 per unit. Let's start. Worker A, worker B. Worker A has actually produced 150 units in a day by working 8 hours, and worker B has actually produced 200 units in that day. Now I will see to it whether efficiency is below, at or above. If I talk about worker A, my expectation from him was 160 units. That was my target for one day. But he has actually produced 150 units. That is less than my standard. So I will call it as below standard. His work is below standard. But if I talk about Mr. B, my expectation again was same, that is 160 units, but actual production by worker B is 200. That is more than what is expected from him. So that is known as above standard. Now based on this efficiency, we will determine their earning. First, let's talk about Mr. A. Mr. A has produced, actual output is 150 units, fair enough. Multiplied by his piece rate is, as and when we produce 1 unit, we pay him 10 paisa, that is 0.1, into he has worked below standard, so his payment will be 80%. Fair enough. If I talk about Mr. B, actual production 200 units, okay. Multiplied by, normal rate is 0.1 per unit, multiplied by he has worked more, so we will pay him more. And how much? It is 120% of his earnings. So multiplied by 120%.